Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Is it echo? Is it clear? Chapter 9, text number 2, the most confidential knowledge. Is that clear? No, not working. Is that clear? Yes, that's good. A little louder. So we've been reading this verse for 3 days now. Or 2 days, today's the third day. So we'll just read the verse, translation, and purport. Rajavijja Rajaguyam Vitramidam Uttamam Rachak Sabhagamam Daryam Sushukam Kartumavyayam. Translation. His knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It is the perfection of religion, it is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Please repeat. His knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It's the purest knowledge because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It's the perfection of religion. It's everlasting and joyfully performed. Om Aryanantandasya Jananjana Sakaya Sakshu Mitam Jena Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Galamayan Danta Swapadantikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna. So we will read from page 401, top of the page, purport. As we'll go through this purport, land of this purport, slowly try to explain what is being said here. The word dharmyam means path of religion. Narada was actually a son of a maidservant. He had no opportunity to go to school. He was simply assisting his mother, and fortunately, his mother rendered some service to devotees. The child Narada also got the opportunity, and simply by association, achieved the highest goal of all religion. The highest goal of all religion is devotional service, as stated in Bhagavad-Gita, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo, Ito Bhakti Rahoksaja. Religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service, as we have already discussed in regard to the last chapter, verse of chapter 8. Vedeshu, Yagneshu, Tapashu, Saiva. Generally, Vedic knowledge is required for self-realization. But here, although Narada never went to school of the spiritual master and was not educated in Vedic principles, he acquired the highest result of Vedic study. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious process regularly, one can be raised to the highest perfection. How is this possible. This is also confirmed in the Vedic literature. Acharyavam Purusho Veda. One who is in association with great acharyas, even if he is not educated or has never studied the Vedas, can become familiar with all the knowledge necessary for realization. So this is the most confidential knowledge. And 15th chapter says that is also the most confidential knowledge. So, if something's confidential, then it shouldn't be publicly spoken or publicly revealed. It's like if you go to the market, Roy Bazaar, with a large sum of money, you keep it hidden somewhere under your cloth so no one will want to try to steal it. And also, the described by Sanatana Goswami, that bhakti-yoga is like a jewel, like a pearl, like an oyster shell. In the bottom, there's jnana, and on the top is the yoga karma. By the middle is the bhakti. So you see an oyster shell, unless you open it, you will not be able to find the pearl. Oysters, by nature's arrangement, they create pearls, which is a treasure. Not from the bottom, not from the top, but in the middle. So it's kept secret. But because we want to preach Krishna consciousness to the world, Paradukkha Dukhi says that those, especially those born in India, should make their life perfect and go all over the world and spread Krishna consciousness, Paradukkha Dukhi. Should have compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So here it says that Narada Muni was the son of a maidservant. How is this possible? Narada Muni is the best of all the demigods. When described in the 7th canto, he was Upabara, a very handsome demigod, and had many beautiful girlfriends. When the Sankirtan party came by, they do also chant the holy name in the heavenly planets. Narada Muni was busy chanting cinema songs. So they cursed him to become a son of a maidservant, devoid of beauty. So Narada Muni became the son of a maidservant. But that maidservant happened to be serving Mahatmas, great souls, who were studying Srimad Bhagavatam. And so by serving them, she got purified. Narada Muni also served them by washing their plates, doing menial service, and taking their remnants. By doing this, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi. By getting the association of pure devotees, he became purified, even though he was a boy, only 5 years old. And then one day, his mother went to milk the cows, and she got bit by a poison snake and died. So Narada Muni became an orphan. He didn't have a father or mother, but he wasn't bewildered. He decided that he should go and perform tapasya and search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he wandered all over the earth, went through many towns and villages, mining places, forests, until he got to the bank of a river, sat down, and did meditation. And through his meditation, he was able to get the darshan of the super soul within his heart. And then he got the darshan of the Lord externally. But the Lord told him that this was the only time in this lifetime that he would see him, because he wasn't completely purified. But in the next life, he would become a pure devotee. So Narada Muni had to wait till the end of the creation, Brahma's creation, when he took birth again as the son of Brahma. He came out as Narada Rishi, the best of all demigods, or the best of all devotees, the best of all Vaishnavas. So that's the 10th canto, and throughout the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni appears to disclose the situation that takes place. He appeared to Kamsa, although generally simple people can't see Narada Muni because he has a spiritual body and his feet never touch the ground. But Kamsa got his audience, and he went to Kamsa to tell Kamsa that Krishna was the 8th child of Vasudeva, Devaki, and he was going to kill Kamsa. So he wanted to speed up the pastime, Krishna's killing Kamsa. So he also appeared in many other chapters of the Krishna book, 10th canto, to disclose the forthcoming events. Because he is Trikalagya, he can see past, present, and future. So he never went to school because he was a 5-year-old boy and didn't have time to go to school. But since the super soul is in everyone's heart, Savasacham Ridishani Visto, the Lord gives one's knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So he was able to get this knowledge without going to school. And nowadays, we have so many schools in the world, so many universities, colleges. The Prabhupada is saying, but one thing they don't have is, where is the class that teaches the science of the soul, the science of who you are. When Lord Chaitanya met Sanatana Goswami in Benares, Sanatana Goswami said, Ke Ami. He questioned Lord Chaitanya out of strictness. He inquired from Lord Chaitanya that people call me a learned scholar. In those days, they were taught Sanskrit and Persian, so he was a scholarly person in both languages. He was known as a scholar. But he said that people call me a scholar, but I don't know who I am. And so, would you please tell me this this fact? And of course, this is his humility, because he was Nityasiddha, eternal associate of the Lord. But the Lord Chaitanya, who came 500 years ago, he came to teach Vairagya Vidya Nija bhakti-yoga. He came to teach knowledge of renunciation, that knowledge which fosters pure devotional service, and renunciation of the material world that fosters devotional service. So Sanatana Goswami inquired from Lord Chaitanya for 2 months in Benares, and that is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it has much information about pure devotional service. And then Sanatana Goswami was ordered by Lord Chaitanya to come to Vrindavan, discover the lost places of pilgrimage, and write books on devotional service. So he wrote many books, Bhagavad-Gita, other books, and all the Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they also wrote many books on the science of devotional service. So here it says, generally religious people do not know the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service. So, someone may call himself religious. In the different religious communities, they have their priests, and there's priests in the Catholic Church, you have the rabbi in the Jewish religion, you have the mullahs and the whoever in the Muslim religion, but they don't know what is the perfection of religion, and they don't know anything about devotional service. When Lord Chaitanya was in Vrindavan, he was exhibiting ecstatic symptoms, and he would jump in the Yamuna, and they had to rescue him a few times. So they thought it was dangerous for him to be in Vrindavan. So they suggested that he go to Allahabad, where they're having the Kumbh Mela. So Lord Chaitanya was on his way to Allahabad, and he went into ecstasy and became unconscious. And then, at that time, some Turkish soldiers, there were 10 of them, called the Patanas, and they arrested Lord Chaitanya's servants. He had 4 servants. 2 were Bengalis and 2 were from North India. And they accused them of giving this sannyasi poison and killing him and taking all his possessions. So they said, no, this is not true. He's a sannyasi and he has epilepsy. So sometimes he falls unconscious. Just wait some time and then you'll find out the truth. So the 2 Bengalis were shaking out of fear, but the Mathura Brahmin said, I'm a wealthy man, I have many cannons, and I can kill all you just by calling them. So they became a little fearful, and they waited. So after some time, Lord Chaitanya regained consciousness, and they told him that these men are rogues, they've stolen all your possession and gave you poison. The Lord Chaitanya said, no, I'm a sannyasi, I don't possess anything, and these men are my associates. So there was one man there who was wearing black. He was the priest of the Muslims, of the 10 Muslim Patana soldiers. He wanted to discuss a Mayavadi philosophy, impersonal philosophy, the Quran, with Lord Chaitanya. So they had a discussion, and Lord Chaitanya defeated the man and proved to him that the Quran does reveal that God is a person, and devotional service is the way to understand him. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya converted all the 10 soldiers. They became known as the 10 Patana Vaishnavas. So this is one incident. People of other religions don't know about taking devotional service. You go to the Catholic Church, they take wine, they do sinful activities. Jewish religion, after the ceremonies, they serve wine and meat and fish to the people. So how can they really know anything about devotional service or the love of God if they're sinful? When Prabhupada met the Cardinal Dayalu, he said he should not eat meat. The Cardinal said, well, the children are hungry. They have to eat something. Well, Prabhupada said, well, then they shouldn't eat meat, at least not the cow. You want them to eat meat. You can eat a goat or a deer or something else, but don't eat the cow. The cow's your mother. He was a cardinal. He was supposed to know about religious principles, but he couldn't even understand that basic principle that one should not eat meat, one should not eat the cow. So this is the way so-called Kaitava Dharma, described in the first canto of Bhagavatam, that these are cheating religions or 10th class religions. They're only dogmatic religions. People go through to make a show and do some religious activities, but they don't know about devotional service. They don't know about how to attain love of God. They don't know who God is or how they think God is impersonal in most cases. They think God is either God is so big you can't get close enough to see him, or they show God with a face with a big beard, no face. In this way, they don't have any clear understanding about God or how to serve God or how to perform devotional service. So, and there's no university to teach these things. Although there's so many schools and universities all over the world, they don't teach anything about the soul. They don't teach people that you're not this body, Ham Brahmasmi. They only teach the technical things. So probably call them slaughterhouses. So people go to college, to the slaughterhouses, to get some technical education so they can get a job, make a lot of money, and stay bound up in the material world. They don't teach anybody that the material world is not a nice place, and you shouldn't try to stay here, and you shouldn't think that making money and living comfortably is the highest goal of life. So here it says, one who is in association with Acharya, even if he's not educated or has never studied the Vedas, can become familiar with all the knowledge necessary for realization. One time Lord Chaitanya was traveling in South India, and he came to one temple, and one Brahmin was there, and the Brahmin was trying to read the Bhagavad-Gita. He was ordered by his spiritual master that you read the entire Bhagavad-Gita every day, all the verses. So he was illiterate, and he couldn't read the verses properly. So all the other Brahmins there were laughing at him. So Lord Chaitanya came and asked the Brahmin, what are you doing? The Brahmin said, could understand Lord Chaitanya wasn't joking with him. So he said, I'm trying to read the Bhagavad Gita because my spiritual master has ordered me to do so. But I'm illiterate and I can't read it properly. Then Lord Chaitanya said, but I see that you're crying when you're reading the Bhagavad Gita. So the man said, he said, why are you crying when you read the Bhagavad Gita? He said, because when I think that Krishna has become the chariot driver, Arjuna, I become overwhelmed. So Lord Chaitanya embraced that man and said that you are the real knower of Bhagavad Gita, even though he was uneducated. Gokashwar Das Babaji was also illiterate. He carried 2 books with him, Prem Bhakti Chandrika and the Songbook of Narottam Das Thakur. He could hardly even write his name, but Lord Bhakti-Siddhanta, Bhakti-Vinod Thakur told Bhakti-Siddhanta, you go to Gokashwar Das Babaji, accept Diksha initiation from him. So in this way, mundane education is not required for a spiritual life. But it's not forbidden, but still he will not take one out of the material world. If you get a college degree, you get a master's degree, you get a PhD, Prabhupada called it PhD, that was, one becomes like a dog. He gets a PhD, and he has to go from door to door begging to try to get a job. So these things will not help one in their spiritual advancement. But Guru Krishna Prasadi by Bhakti Lata Beach with time initiation, Ado Guru Ashraya. This is what is recommended in the Vedic literature, that one accepts a spiritual master, and Tad Vidi Paribhaktena Paripasena Sevaya Upidekyanti Te Gyanas Tapa Darshanaha. By approaching a spiritual master, one can inquire submissively and run a service unto him. He can impart knowledge unto you because he's seen the truth. So this is what is required. Everyone must accept a spiritual master, and he will take your karma at the time of initiation and help you to advance in spiritual life. Otherwise, it's not possible to make advancement in spiritual life unless you change your name and take initiation. You have to change your name and get a spiritual name so you can go back to the spiritual world. So everybody is required to take a spiritual master. Socham Brahmanistam. Spiritual master must be a qualified spiritual master. He must know the science of Krishna, have full control of his senses. Remaining cheating gurus, there was one Guru Maharaji who was saying he was God. And one day his mother threw a cream pie in his face. So when his mother didn't even believe he was God. And others, Rajanis, others have posed themselves as God, but generally they get exposed as not really God or bona fide spiritual master leaders. So it's not, someone has to be in the disciplic succession, either Brahma, from Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, or Lakshmi. There's four disciplic successions are necessary, except the spiritual master from those four sampradayas. So the next paragraph says, the process of devotional service is a very happy one. Shushukam. Why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord, or can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn. Then one can eat the remnants of food offered to God, nice palatable dishes. In every state, devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. Lord said, Patram Pushpam Paloto Yam. He's ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what. Even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, a little water, which are all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person, regardless of social position, will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances in history. Simply by tasting the tulsi leaves, offered the lotus feet of the Lord, actually it says in Bhagavatam, by smelling the tulsi leaves, here it says tasting, great sages like Sanat Kumar became great devotees. Therefore, devotional service is very nice and can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to Him. So, the process of devotional service is a very happy one. Especially, we all have the experience when we first come to Krishna consciousness. It's very happy mood, happy. We feel very happy that we are released from the mode of passion and ignorance, come to the mode of goodness. But we may not always be happy in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada says if you're not feeling happy in Krishna consciousness, then you're in the mode of ignorance. But still, we don't give up Krishna consciousness because one day we don't feel happy, because happiness and stress is there. When you're sick, you don't feel happy. When you have problems, you don't feel happy. But still, it doesn't stop your devotional service. but we all have the experience when you get into the kirtan. Whatever problem you may have, if you just go in the temple and get in the kirtan, get absorbed in the kirtan, you forget your problem for the time being, and you dance, you feel happy. And people come to this temple who've never done any devotional service, no sadhana, not following any principles, but they start to chant and dance with us. When we chant kirtan, they also join in, chant and dance with us, and feel a little happiness. It's called rati. It's the semblance of devotional service. So there's a semblance. One does feel something. When you come to Vrindavan especially, you feel that it's not an ordinary place, because it's Krishna's abode. It's a Gokul, replica of Golok. So that's why many pilgrims come to Vrindavan. They could go to nightclubs, they could go to Agra to see the Taj Mahal, but people come here, especially on holidays and weekends, because they understand that Vrindavan is a special place, and they feel some pleasure in coming here. But that we have to keep ourselves in the mode of goodness and come to pure goodness. Anyabi asita sunyam gyanakarma avitam anankunena krishna no bhakta uttamam. Pure devotional service. And that way we'll always be joyful in any condition. Srila Prabhupada went through so many difficulties, but inwardly he was always Krishna conscious. Even up to the last moment of his life, he was translating and purporting Srimad Bhagavatam. And he didn't have to take any medicine. He didn't have to go to hospital and go into ICU. He didn't need any doctors. Whatever he was experiencing was, he was still on the spiritual platform. When the poverty-stricken, it says here, one could execute devotional service, even the most poverty-stricken condition. One time Krishna went to see two people. One was King Balasva, and one was a devotee named Shrutadev. The king was an opulent, rich person, and he received Krishna very opulently. And Shrutadev was a very poor person, and he couldn't receive Krishna very opulently. But he didn't even have a sitting place. He had to go to the neighbor's house to borrow a sitting place just to give Krishna a reception. But either case, Krishna accepted both of them, because they were both pure devotees. It says, Patram Pushpam Paloto Yam Yome Bhakti Pirachati. If you don't have any fun, anybody can offer water, leaf, tulsi leaf, fruit, flower. These things are easily available. But if one's a rich man and he offers fruit and flower and water, then if he's a miserly man, then Krishna is not pleased with that. If a miserly man offers something like Parle-G crackers or fruity to the deities, then Krishna doesn't accept those things. People do that all the time. They bring junk food they want to offer to the deities. But, if people have money, they should offer something nice, cow ghee or basmati rice or something of value, or just a nice garland, but not junk things. People want to offer junk to the Lord. He doesn't have to accept these things. People may bring things to offer the Lord, but the Lord does not oblige to accept things. So the main quality is bhakti, or love, If someone's offered with love, then Krishna will accept it. So, we continue here. It's said that devotional service actually are existing, is eternally existing. It's not a Mayavadi philosopher's claim, as the Mayavadi philosophers claim. Although sometimes they take the so-called devotional service, their idea is that as long as they are not liberated, they will continue their devotional service. But at the end, when they become liberated, they will become one with God. Such temporary time-serving devotional service is not accepted as pure devotional service. Actually, devotional service continues even after liberation. When the devotee goes to the spiritual planet, in the kingdom of God, he's also engaged in serving the Supreme Lord. He does not try to become one with the Supreme. The Prabhupada says this is the most abominable type of liberation, to merge into the body of the Lord, Suyuja Mukti. Mayavadi, sometimes they worship the deity, but they want to become the deity. They become one with God. Sometimes we have big programs, we invite politicians and ministers to come and speak. They speak, they give a nice lecture. At the end of the lecture say, now let us all become one. That happens all the time. So that's a general understanding. Most people think that becoming one is the goal of life, merging into the Brahman, or becoming void or null. But that's Mayavadi philosophy. And Lord Chaitanya said, if anybody hears Mayavadi philosophy, then they're doomed. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares, Benares was the seat of the Mayavadi sannyasis. So they criticized Lord Chaitanya because all he did was chant and dance in the streets. And Prakasananda Saraswati was the leader of the Mayavadis. And Lord Chaitanya said that I gave that man leprosy because he doesn't know it, but I gave him leprosy because he's an offender. He's a Mayavadi. Mayavadis say God cannot have an eye, ear, nose, mouth, tongue, arms, legs, that God is impersonal. So they would criticize Lord Chaitanya in Benares. And Prakasananda Saraswati heard about this sannyasi, chanting, dancing. He said it was just simply a sentimentalist, and we have no need for such persons here. Because a sannyasi, Mayavadi sannyasi, is supposed to study the Vedas. So one day they invited Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya generally would not associate with the Mayavadi sannyasis. He didn't take prasadam with them, he didn't sit with them. Although he took Mayavadi sannyas and dressed like a Mayavadi, but that was only out of social convention, not because he was a Mayavadi. So one day they invited Lord Chaitanya to their place, and Lord Chaitanya came there and he sat down in the place where people wash their feet and take off their shoes, because you're supposed to wash your feet when you go in the temple. So Prakasananda Saraswati could see that Lord Chaitanya was very effulgent. He had the effulgence of 100 suns. So he went over and grabbed Lord Chaitanya, asked him why he's sitting in this filthy place. Please come and sit with us. So Lord Chaitanya went and sat with them. And then they asked Lord Chaitanya, why you're not studying Vedanta? You're a sannyasi. And Lord Chaitanya said, well, my spiritual master said that I was a murka, I was a fool, and that I couldn't study Vedanta. He told me I should just chant and dance. And then they explained the Mayavadi Shankara Bhashya, the interpretation of Vedanta Sutra by Shankaracharya. Lord Chaitanya heard that, and then Lord Chaitanya gave the Vaishnava interpretation of the Vedanta Sutra. And when they heard that, they could understand, they understood that they were following a path that was simply imaginary. Their interpretation of the Vedas was simply imaginary, but they were following it just to follow the party line. And they agreed that this Vaishnava philosophy was the right interpretation of Vedanta Sutra, and then they all became Vaishnavas. So in this way, we should not be fooled by Mayavadi or impersonal philosophy. God is a person. Even the Bible says man is created in the image of God. So if we have a form, then we can't think that God doesn't have a form, because nothing God cannot have. If God cannot have a form, then we shouldn't have a form either. Or we shouldn't think that we can become God. This is the last snare of Maya. One comes to the conclusion that I can become God. You are never God. Someone says, I can become God. You say, well, then I'm God. Then you say, well, then show us your universal form. They'll say, well, I can do that, but you don't have the eyes to see it. Or I can't do it right now. I could do it, but you can't see it. Or they give some excuses. Or make the sun set. But these people think they're God, but we see in the case of Ramakrishna, he died of cancer when they voted him to be an incarnation of God. So there are many imposters who claiming to be God, but when they're tested, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there was one bhikshu who was claiming he was God. He was performing some magic and fooling people. Even in Lord Krishna's time, there was one Pundraka. He had sent a message to Krishna and Dwarka saying that he was the Supreme Personality Godhead, and that Krishna should surrender his symbol, the disc, club, lotus flower, and conch shell to him. So everybody heard that in the assembly. It lasted for a very long time. And then Krishna sent a message back and said, yes, this Pundraka, tell this Pundraka that I'm going to surrender my disc to his head. So Krishna went there in Vanaras or Kasi, and they had a battle. When on the battlefield he met Pundraka. And Pundraka had 4 arms. He had Gustaba jewel, earring, shark-shaped earrings. He had all the decorations looking like Mahavishnu, but he was clearly an impostor. So when Krishna saw him, he laughed, he smiled, and he took out his disc and cut off his head. So that was the end of Mahavishnu. So one should not be fooled by someone who, some cheap guru who has many followers but doesn't stress any principles or teach anything about devotional service. As will be seen in Bhagavad-Gita, actual devotional service begins after liberation. After one is liberated, one is situated in the Brahman position, Brahmabhuta. Once devotional service begins, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Ma Bhaktim Lepare Param. No one can understand the Supreme Personality of God by executing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Astanga Yoga, or any other yoga independently. But these yoga methods one may make a little progress toward bhakti-yoga, but without coming to the stage of devotional service, one cannot understand what is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srimad Bhagavatam is also confirmed that when one becomes purified by executing the process of devotional service, especially by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad-Gita from realized souls, then he can understand the science of Krishna or the science of God. Evam prasana manaso bhavavat bhakti yogataha. When one's heart is cleansed of all nonsense, then one can understand what is God. Thus the process of devotional service of Krishna consciousness is the king of all education, the king of all comprehensive knowledge, is the purest form of religion, It is executed joyfully without difficulty. Therefore, one should adopt it. So we're practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, which is a semblance of devotional service. Brahma Bhuta Prasanama Nasositi no Kanchati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Lebate Param. When it comes to the Brahma Bhuta platform, no longer laments or hankers for anything, it's always joyful. So we're not on that platform, but we're trying to come to that platform by practicing devotional service. But one cannot become a devotee simply by dressing. They have one holiday in America, it's called Halloween, where people dress up in different ways. So every year, one day a year, they have this, people dress up in different funny ways, but someone always dresses up like a Hare Krishna. So one man dressed up like a Hare Krishna, and they went out at night to get intoxicated and have fun. And on the way, this man who was dressed like a Hare Krishna, but he wasn't a Hare Krishna, he was wearing dhoti, but he became attracted to the Harinam party, and eventually he did become a devotee. So someone may imitate a devotee by wearing tilak, dhoti kurta, but at heart he may not be a devotee. Prabhupada calls them Kali Chelas. So people come to devotional service and practice with some ulterior motive. In the old days, in India, many village people would come. Prabhupada wanted educated people to come to devotional service. The village people would come and see an opportunity to serve for a while and steal some money and go back to their village. But nowadays, we're taking educated people in the schools and colleges, and that doesn't happen so much. It still happens a little bit, but much less. So just by dressing like a devotee doesn't make you a devotee. But by practicing sadhana bhakti, attending Mangalarti, attending all the programs, chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 principles, then it says here that the nonsense, one's heart is cleansed of all nonsense. Because if you're born in the West, your heart is like coal. So when you're trying to clean coal, it just be black and black, more black. So it's a difficult job to clean the heart. It's Chaito Darpana Marjanam. But by the chanting process, chanting the pure name of the of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By chanting, without offenses, then one can gradually become cleansed and purified. So, also in Bhagavad-Gita, in the 14th chapter, it says, Mamchayo vicharena bhakti-yogena sevate sagunam samtichaitam brahma bhuya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing all circumstances, as one transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So, unfailing. Svaipumsa parodharmo haitaki apatiyata yena masu prasidati. Devotional service has to be unmotivated, uninterrupted, and unfailing in all circumstances. In other words, if you come to pure goodness, there's the mode of passion, mode of ignorance, mode of goodness, and mode of goodness. So there's always competition between the modes of material nature, as long as we're in the material world. But we come to pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, then we can remain on the transcendental platform and not fall down into the material, fall from the devotional standard. So one has to be very careful that devotional service is a razor's edge. If he just shaving your face, the men shave their face with a razor. You have to be attentive. So if you're inattentive, you'll cut yourself and start bleeding. So devotion service like that. You have to be very attentive to following all the principles, to not commit offenses, to try our best to always perform devotional service in a proper way, so that we can keep ourselves on the level of goodness and come to pure goodness. In this way, Krishna consciousness is the king. Kings were generally saintly kings. Evam parampara praptam imam rajasu vidu. Krishna instructed his sons to the saintly kings. But as the Kali Yuga progressed, kings no longer became saintly. They became very cruel and vicious. So the kings were abolished. Kings were abolished, and democracy was invented. This is probably called demon crazy. So, but formerly kings were supposed to be saintly. We see in the Srimad Bhagavatam from Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Prithu, Maharaj Rishabdev, Maharaj, so many kings were saintly kings. And so that's why it says this is the king of all confidential knowledge, the king of all education, and it is the purest form of religion, and is executed joyfully without difficulty. Therefore, it should be adopted. So if you don't want to stay in the material world and be unhappy, because it says, Dukkhayalam Ashasvatam, no one can be happy in the material world, especially in family life. 5th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, says there's no happiness in family life. So brahmachari should stay brahmachari. Prabhupada said all the brahmacharis should stay brahmachari, all the women should get married. So even if the brahmacharis do get married, they shouldn't stop following the principle of no illicit sex. They should still follow the 4 regular principles: no meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. That way one could be a brahmachari or a grihastha brahmachari, and then vanaprastha brahmachari, and then a sannyasi also, and all the 4 orders. One has to maintain celibacy, not have illicit sex. The sex life is the main binding force in this world. It keeps one bound up in the material world. As soon as there is union between men and women, then the knot is tied very tightly, and one is bound by affection for wife, family, society, love, friendship, and love. So one gopi told another gopi, if you have any desire for society, friendship, and love, then don't go see that boy, Govinda, laying on his food and dancing at Vamsivat. In this way, there's many things to be said about this purport. We should know that if you're not engaged 24 hours a day, if you don't have any engagement, just go in the temple room and join in the kirtan, 24-hour kirtan. If you want to get warm, 11 to 1, the sun is shining in the temple room, you can get warm and join in the kirtan. All day long, kirtan is going on. So if you don't have any other engagement, then don't go to sleep or waste time on the computer looking at different things, but you can go and do kirtan and dance and be happy. And we should also read Prabhupada's books in a regular way, listen to Prabhupada's lectures, read all the Vaishnava literatures that are available, so that we'll be able to preach Krishna consciousness. So Krishna says that no one's more dear to me than he, one who preaches Krishna consciousness. So the preachers are the most dear devotees of the Lord, those who are preaching Krishna consciousness, not only trying to save themselves, but they're trying to save others at the same time. So Prabhupada said we should go out and distribute books and save ourselves and save others at the same time. In this way, people who are distributing books, they know that the Sankirtan, there's two kinds of Sankirtan, the Priya Madanga and the Kirtan with drum and cartels. So the Kirtan with drum and cartels can only be heard a short distance. But the Brihat Madanga, the printing press, book distribution, is going on all over the world, and now it's available in the Muslim languages. So the Muslim people are not all terrorists, only a small percentage of them are. The rest of them are normal people. But when they get a book, Krishna conscious book in their language, they're very happy. And they even sit down and read it immediately and will give a donation, $20, $30, $40 for even a small book. So they're getting Krishna consciousness. They're hearing about something they never heard before, and they're very impressed and very happy to receive our books. So book distributors also know that they get a higher taste. When you go out and distribute books all day, you feel some great happiness that you don't get in any other service. But it may be difficult, because preachers have to also face many dangers. Even Jesus Christ was a pure devotee, but they misunderstood him and they crucified him. Or Haridas Thakur was a Namacharya, but they beat him in 22 marketplaces. So a devotee may face many dangers when they go out for preaching, but the preaching should not stop. We should go out and distribute Krishna consciousness. In this way, we can give people what they don't have, and therefore make them happy and peaceful. Hare Krishna.